encyclopedia with a mind like a scientist and an arm like a cannon. Rick is a former mime, Golden Voice Broadcasting psycho, and Joe is a free-willing wild card with zero sports knowledge to speak of. Together, they make the crew of Offsides. Now on Q94.7. Brought to you by The Oil Pit, D&J's Polaris, Womack Construction, and Texoma Foam Installation Services.
All right, good morning again to you. Time to check it out, time to get it going, and time to have it happening right here on your Lincoln to Leader. Q94.7, it's time for Offsides after a huge win last night. Rick, Travis, and Joe with you this morning. And boys, do you know what we heard last night 14 different times?
What's that?
I mean, 14 times last night we heard this song. I wonder what the folks on the Castleberry side thought about hearing the Graham Fight song over and over and over. And we never, I don't even know what the fight song for Castleberry even is. No,
they never really got a chance to play it last night. And just a good win for the Steers. As far as good wins go, you didn't get out of it 100% healthy, but, you got the 71-0 victory, first round of the playoffs against a fourth-place team from a bad district.
Well, you've got a team that had no business being there. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that Castleberry, all they can say is, hey, we haven't made the playoffs in 2009. We made it in 2013 because of the UIL. We got destroyed. I think we're going to go back to what we were doing.
And I'm sorry, I got that score wrong. 68-0. That's my fault.
71, 68.
Yeah.
What difference does it make?
Yeah. I don't think this was a game that Graham should have played. I think they should have played this game against another team. I really am frustrated with the UIL, bringing a fourth team in this deal. But I know we've touched on that before, and I guess there's no reason of retracting on it. I thought Ben Davis had a game that most people wouldn't be able to have against Air, to be honest. I mean, he completed 14 of his 17 passes, I believe, were the numbers there, which is just incredible. You really don't do that much, and that's, you got to give credit to the Graham receivers as well, being able to, catch the ball so consistently. And for the most part, they were wide open, but it's still impressive. Spurhearn was our player of the game, had just a ton of tackles. I think he ended up with at least one sack. He might have had two, and then several tackles for loss. Picked up a fumble, ran it back for a touchdown. He was everywhere on defense. It was just one of those games where it's pretty obvious who the best team is by the first possession of the game.
Yeah, I mean, even at the coin toss, we could tell that, you could tell body language. You could tell body language. And looking at the Castleberry side, they really didn't look like they were into that game very much.
No, they didn't. And I'm not being a very good sharer of the microphone here, but, our sideline reporter, Joe, who's a part of this show, was down there. We'll see what he thought.
Oh, it's okay. We got some comments from Spur after the game. We're going to see if we can play this.
Oh, cool.
I'm not sure if you guys will be able to hear it or not, you folks out there in Radio Land. Got some great comments from Spur and Jim Bob after the game, so just have to see if we can play this. I thought Spur's comments were really, really good. Let's just see if we can hear it.
All right, so we're here with Spur after the game, 68-0. How was it pitching that shutout for a defense tonight?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's something we strive for every week. Just keep working hard.
On that fumble recovery for a touchdown, I mean, you're just running and running and running. You're just looking for daylight. Defensive guys don't get touchdowns that often, so walk us through that.
Man, it was just a fumbled snap. It just luck of the draw. I just bounced in my hands, and the rest of my defense is blocked.
I mean, it's there. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah, just pick it up and run.
Did you guys learn anything last year from Glen Rose that you think you can take into the game next week to help you guys come out on top?
They graduated a lot of seniors, so I don't know. Just go watch the film and see what they have.
All right, well, get in there and enjoy it. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
comments from Spur Hearn after the game last night. And, of course, these guys are now looking forward to Glen Rose. In case anybody missed it, it's same bat time, same bat channel next week, 7 o'clock, Mineral Wells, taking on the Glen Rose bunch. So
that's right, Glen Rose Tigers again, same place in Mineral Wells. Ought to be an enjoyable game. We'll be getting to Mineral Wells bunch here in just a bit to let you know a little bit more about them. Really not a lot to take away from last night's game. But one thing after the game was over with, a guy texted me, and I'm not too sure I agree with this, but there is a little bit of merit to talk about it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
He had told me, he said, I like the way our team is playing. I like the way everything's going, but he said, I feel like our offensive line has been exposed a little bit the last couple of weeks. That Ben has been having to run a lot more and scramble a lot more and go to the sides a lot more than he had. We saw it a lot in the Burke Burnett game. We saw it a little bit last night. I'm pretty sure that Coach Merritt is going to get that back to where it needs to be. But what do you think? I mean, do you really think our offensive line has been exposed a little bit?
I'm not sure it's not where it needs to be already. I mean, of course, you're always coaching, and you want every play to be perfect from every position and every group of players on the field. But I think saying that, this is an offensive line that has improved from the start of the season. They were, they started off the season okay, but needed to get better. It was clear that they needed to get better, and I thought they did. And I think that they're playing at a high level right now. I don't really know what the problem was. I mean, Ben is a guy who's going to have a lot of success on his feet. And a lot of times there's probably not even enough pressure to force him out of the pocket, but he wants to run because he knows he can do something with the ball. And that's his choice, and the coaches give him that choice, and he makes it. And he's a heck of a runner. So, that's just part of his game. And he's going to take off if there's great blocking. He's going to take off if there's no blocking whatsoever. I don't think it has a lot to do with the offensive line, the fact that Ben's running. Now, as far as run blocking and pass blocking, my grade is pretty good for these guys for the last few games. I think people expect this team, every time you hand it to Dylan Gonzalez up the middle, for him to break out a 25-yarder, and if he doesn't, then there's something wrong up front. But that's just not how the game works, and I think everybody knows that every now and then you have those 2 to 3 yard gains that don't go for a first down every time. So I think the offensive line is doing a fine job, and I think they'll get better as time goes on. Now, do they have their limitations? Of course. They're not the biggest group in the state by any means. They're not the strongest group in the state by any means. So they're going to have to be quick, and they're going to have to be smart.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back. We're going to look at some scores from last night. Plus, we're going to break down Glen Rose a little bit and see what they have to offer and to bring to the table. You're listening to Offsides here on your Laker to Leader Q94.7. Stay tuned.
It's factory authorized clearance month at D&J's Polaris. Now's your chance to save up to $1,000 and receive 2.99% financing through September 30th. Save on Polaris Ranger, the absolute best side-by-side utility vehicles in the industry, or the Polaris Sportsman ATV. It's all waiting for you at D&J's Polaris, Southview at Elm and Graham. Now with up to $1,000 savings and financing as low as 2.99. ATVs and side-by-side vehicles can be hazardous to operate. Polaris adult models for ages 16 and over. Always wear a helmet and be sure to take a training course. Polaris ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are not intended for on-road use. Financing with approved credit.
Maximize your greatest investment with the best insulation and roofing products available. Texoma Foam Insulation Services offers these benefits of ThermoSeal insulation. Reduce your energy bills. Enjoy cleaner and healthier indoor air. Improve your home's value and enjoy consistent temperatures. To discover more from ThermoSeal Insulation of the Future, call Texoma Foam Insulation Services today at 940-549-3626 or visit their website at texomafoam.com.
Now, back to Offsides with Travis, Rick, and Joe on Q94.7.
All right, back to Offsides. here on your Liquor Leader, Q94.7. Going to look at some statewide scores from last night, how they affect the Steers. We're going to look at the playoff situation and break down Glen Rose here in just a few. But last night in Region 1, Division 1 by district last night, the Abilene Wiley Bulldogs, they stormed Fort Stockton last night and beat them 49-3 in that one. This one was close at halftime, but then the Stephenville Yellow Jackets pulled away at the end of it, 49-10 in that one. One that in Division 1 last night, Carthage, the Bulldogs took down Bahia 49-6. And I don't know if you guys are noticing some of these scores, but these are playoff games. And there's scores up in the 50s close to it. Now, here's Division 2, Region 1 from last night. Graham, again, beat Castleberry 68-0. Liberty Hill, last night over Hillsboro. Check the score. 61-21 last night in that one. One that we weren't too sure about, Snyder and Clint. We wasn't a lot of folks were like, we don't know who Clint is, blah, blah, blah. But Snyder last night, 48-21 over Clint. Vernon last night took out Lake Worth 49-21. This is probably the game of the night. Gainesville and Salina. Gainesville and Salina went to double overtime, and Gainesville wins that game 55-49 last night in double overtime. The Salina Bobcats in the top 5 were eliminated last night, so that was your upset special of the night. Fairfield, another team that the Steers could see possibly in the state championship game, beat Diboll last night 60-6, one of Travis's favorite schools, Diboll. And you had Port Isabel, ranked number 10 in the state of Texas, beat Raymondsville last night 42-13. And 2A Division 1, Eastland Mavericks took out Brady 37-6 last night. In Division 2, 2A, Cisco over Stanton 54-10. Blooming Grove last night over Jacksboro 38-35. We sure hate to hear that one because the Jacksboro Tigers had a really good season.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I thought we were going to have Jacksboro, Newcastle, and Graham all going, really far in the playoffs. Unfortunately, Jacksboro gets knocked off in the first round.
Windthorst last night, they win their by-district game 20-14. And also last night, one that was a big surprise. Well, I guess to say not really a big surprise. Ira, the number 1 team of the state, taking down Throckmorton 59-50. And we've never seen Throckmorton knocked out in the by-district game. So that was a big one. In other games that took place on Thursday night, Kennedale beat Burke Burnett. Springtown beat Hershey. You had Glen Rose taking down Llano. Monahans taking down Pecos. You had Shallowater, who is pretty much tabbed the odds-on favorite to meet Graham in the regional final, beat Dalhart 42-12. And two of the big guns in 3A, Argyle took out Crum 57-12, and Gilmer 52-0 over Mineola. And those guys are projected to meet in the third round of the playoffs. Argyle and Gilmer, that ought to be a battle to remember. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Absolutely, that'll be a great game. Might be one of the best non-championship games in all of high school football this year. Is Gilmer Argyle. That'll
be a fun one to watch. Now, looking at the playoff scenario at the moment, Perrington will play Estacada today. They will be meeting Snyder next week in the area championship. Graham will be meeting up with Glen Rose. That'll be taking place Friday. You got Shallowater taking on Monahans, and Vernon and Liberty Hill. You look at all those games there. Vernon Liberty Hill is going to be a good game. Shallowater Monahans is going to be a good game. Graham Glen Rose ought to be a pretty good game. And then depending on what Estacada and Perrington do, Perrington should win that game. And Snyder, you've got 4 really good matchups in Region 1 coming up next Friday night because, Glen Rose and Graham is going to be a knockdown drag-out. Those two teams do not like each other, and since 2009, they have done nothing but beat up on each other when they got together and played.
Great game last year, great game. We all know the outcome of last year. You can't really say that because of what happened last year, this year is going to be, the same or different. You just got to get out there and play the game. You're looking at the record saying, hey, Glen Rose is 5-5, Graham is 10-0 coming into the playoffs. Obviously, add another win to all that because everybody won last night. But, you look at who Glen Rose has played, and I think Rick's going to touch on this here in a second. If you look at who they've played, who they've won against, who they've lost against, you got to take that into consideration to try to gauge just how good Glen Rose is. And, Rick, you got some details on that, don't you?
Yeah, looking at Glen Rose, we were going to try to break this down just a little bit. Glen Rose is 5-5 on the season in their district. Now, their wins came against Hillsboro, Venus, West, Mineral Wells, and Llano. And of those 5 teams, of those 5 wins, Hillsboro and Llano were the only 2 in the playoffs. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Venus and West. I know West is always pretty competitive in baseball and softball and stuff. I don't know a whole lot about their football teams. Mineral Wells, everybody beat them this year. Venus is kind of one of those up and down teams. They sometimes you see them, as a good team, sometimes not so much. So we don't know a whole lot about them. But the thing about their losses, this is the thing that kind of stands out to me. And I'll see what you guys think about this. They were beat by Alvarado. At the time they were playing Alvarado was number 13 in the state of Texas, and they got beat in that game. Presently, Stephenville is number 5 in the state of Texas, and they lost that game. Fairfield, number 6 in the state of Texas, they lost that game. Ranch View, they lost that game. Ranch View made the playoffs. China Spring was the only win that they had, and I'm not too sure if China Spring wasn't ranked somewhere down the line. By looking at the schedule and looking what they've done, they've had a harder time with teams that are ranked.
Sure.
They have a hard time with teams that are ranked. And I know everybody always says, rankings don't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. Well, rankings give you a little bit of respect. They show who the better teams are. And Glen Rose has had a harder time against ranked teams. And that's the thing that we got to look at here is that they're going to be playing the number 3 team in the state. And Graham, this is the highest ranked team they've played all year long.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Glen Rose Tigers will go into this game a great underdog, not necessarily the underdog that Castleberry was, but a big underdog nonetheless. I think I don't know that the Graham Steers are really going to face a team that's not an underdog for several weeks now if they can keep it going that long. So they're just, that's the way it's going to be. Graham's going to be on top. Other teams are going to have nothing to lose, and that gives those lesser teams a boost. But I don't expect the Glen Rose Tiger team to come in that's going to be better than the Graham Steers. But I definitely agree with the polls in that situation. Agree with your scenario that Glen Rose does have tough times against good teams.
You look at those guys, and one thing Spur Hearn said that they graduate a lot of seniors. I don't know a whole lot about Glen Rose, but do you think they're any better this year than they were last year?
No, I don't. But they were expected to be a lot. They were expected to beat Graham and go a lot further than they did last year. I don't think anybody realized how good Graham was at the time, and just some of the playoff magic that was going to occur last year. And so I think that was kind of a surprise. Plus, their ace running back was out last year, which,
right.
I don't think would have made a difference besides maybe a touchdown or 2 in that game. But, we watched the Graham offense score on every drive until they put the backups in. So it's really a moot point whether that, what kind of difference that running back would have made. The point is they did have a lot of seniors. They graduated a lot of people, and I don't think they'll be as sharp as a team as they were last year.
Now, Glen Rose typically, I don't know what they've done this year, if they changed things up or not. Typically, they run the same kind of offense that Graham runs. They run a spread. They like to run the ball.
Try to be balanced.
They like to throw the ball, things like that. And it's one of those, I guess it's a timing type offense. You got to get rid of the ball. You can't sit back there and hold it. You've got that. But, to me, just looking at what Glen Rose does and what the Steers have done all year long, these kind of offenses play right into the hand of the Steer defense.
Absolutely. And, here's the thing that I think about the Steers, Rick, and this is my hot sports opinion this morning. I think when the Steers meet up against teams that play similar styles as them, then they're the best team in the state. Does that make sense? I think this, if the Steers could meet teams, no matter the what kind of athletes the other team had. If they could meet teams that played the same style as them, on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, for the rest of the playoffs, that they would win every single game. I think they would win out and win a state championship. Now, a lot of teams don't play the same style. Like we saw last night, of course, Castleberry was no match. But, there are other teams. We saw Gilmer last year where they, basically run man-to-man across the board on defense, and then they establish the run, and everything they throw is a play action off of that run. There are teams that do different things and have really great athletes, and I'm sure we'll see that, and I'm not counting the Steers out in those games. I'm just saying, if the Steers were to face teams that ran the spread offense similar to what we run and ran the zone defense a lot like what we do, I think the Steers would have no problem closing out every single one of those games.
Yeah, the way the defense is playing, the way the offense is scoring. Now, this is one thing that I think Glen Rose is going to have a hard time with. Steer defense can stop you in a heartbeat. The Steer offense does like they did last night. You look up, and you're, halfway through the first quarter, and you're down by 21.
Sure, yeah, they'll get up on you quick. And, this defense is a takeaway machine. They turn the ball over like no other. That's why, that coach that we talked to at Castleberry who said, well, we just had, trouble turning the ball over. And I was like, man, you're going against the wrong defense this week.
Well,
what did the Steers get, 3 last night?
3 last night, 13 interceptions, or almost 14 interceptions on the year now.
Yeah, so, it is you've got a team that, 14 interceptions. This team is the best in the state at taking the ball away from opposing offenses, and they did it again last night, and I don't think it was a big surprise to a lot of people.
One reason why Jim Bob Perry got the sub of the game last night, because of the fact that every time that running back get the ball, did you see who was in there stripping the ball out of their hands?
He was just getting his hand right in that breadbasket and ripping the ball out. At one time, I believe I'm not sure who recovered the first fumble. I know that Jim Bob recovered his own forced fumble the second time.
Hutchins got the other one.
Yeah, Jace Hutchins. That's right. So, it was just 2 plays where, Jim Bob was able to get his hand in there, turn the ball over real quick. And I think we have Jim Bob talking about that from last night. We'll see if we can pull it up.
Let's start here. Our sub of the game, Jim Bob Perry.
All right, we're sitting here with Mr. Jim Bob. Sub of the game for tonight, Subway sub of the game. You bring a lot of energy when you come into the game, and just tell us what your mindset is when the coach calls your number.
I really enjoy playing, and we get up that high in the first half, and I get to go in. I just try to make plays like Coach says. So
put that practice to use for all week, right? And can come out and have a good game, yeah?
Yes, sir.
What are you looking forward to next week? You got Glen Rose again. It's you guys played them last year. You came out on the winning end. What's it going to take to beat them again this year?
It'll be tough. It'll be a battle, but we just have to do our technique and play hard.
Got anything extra you guys are going to be working on in practice this week? 68-0. I know there's no game's perfect. There are flaws and everything. What are you guys looking forward to working on this week?
They run the spread. We're going back to our old defense and just working on that.
Good deal. Well, thanks for working. Thanks for staying out with us tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, there's Jim Bob Perry, our Subway sub of the game last night. And, one thing we heard from Spur, we heard from Jim Bob, we've heard these guys before. One thing I love about listening to these guys, there's a little bit of cockiness, but there's a little bit of humbleness, too, when you listen to them.
Yeah, and I think it's I think this coaching staff really tries to keep the line between confidence and cockiness. I don't think you want to be cocky. I think you want to be really confident, though. You want to believe in yourself and what you're doing at all times. And I think this coaching staff has done a good job of kind of, enforcing that mentality that you have to be humble. You need to be humble because you can be humbled, and you don't want to be humbled on the football field, So be humble everywhere else, but at the same time, believe in what you're doing, believe in what you're capable of, and go get things done.
Now, I've had a lot of people already texting me here during the show asking me questions, and we're going to go ahead and get this out. The playoff game for the Graham Steers is Friday night, and it will be at 7 o'clock at Mineral Wells, Texas. Same place, same time. Joe said it a while ago. But we will be playing Glen Rose in Mineral Wells again at 7 o'clock. And there's nothing wrong with that because we're like, a 30-mile drive? They got like an hour and a half.
I love it. I love just going to Mineral Wells. I mean, if we beat Glen Rose, which I'm expecting the Steers to do, then that next game I think will be a long trip. So these two early short trips are pretty valuable.
I mentioned this last night, and I think this is kind of funny. And if you folks in Mineral Wells listening this morning, not a swipe at your football team whatsoever, but the Steers won more games on Mineral Wells' field than Mineral Wells did.
Big time. And they've got a chance to increase that even more. So it's almost like a home field advantage. It's a good deal for the Steers, and hey, we love it because they got a great press box, great facilities.
Yes, great press box. All right, we're going to take a break, come back. We're going to look at the playoff scenarios of some of the other regions. So stick around as we keep it rolling here on your Lake Country Leader.
It's times like, now that we need to hold on to our vehicles as long as we can. And the Oil Pit has been helping you keep your car or truck for years. Literally. The Hughes family has been working hard to keep your family on the road and safe with oil changes, transmission fluids, and fluid level and tire pressure checks. And that family tradition Tom Hughes started years ago. Stop by the Oil Pit on 4th and Graham or call 940-549-5136.
At Jake Womack Construction, Cornerstone Pools, the goal is to not only help you design and build your dream home, but to make the process easy and enjoyable for you. They're a full-service design-build company with a wide range of experience. Jake Womack can help you with all phases of new home construction or remodeling, procuring suitable land, architecture and design, building your home and landscaping your yard. Call 940-549-9944. Jake Womack Construction, helping you build your dreams.
You're listening to Offsides with Rick, Joe, and Travis on Q 94.7.
All right, we're listening to Offsides here on your Lake Country Leader, Q 94.7. All right, looking at the playoff brackets, again, Perrington will be playing Estacada today at 2 o'clock. They'll be matched up against Snyder next week. Graham and Glen Rose next Friday night. Shallowater Monahans. Shallowater, a really good team. I've been told Monahans is a good team.
That'd be a good game.
Well, you've got the district champ out of District 2. You got the district champ out of District 4 are going to be playing each other. This is kind of one of those Argyle-Gilmer games. Glad they're going to knock one of them out.
Yeah, that's a game that if the Steers weren't so much fun to watch and need to be at those games, that'd be a good game just for the the high school football fan to go to if you were pretty close to that one. Vernon
Liberty Hill will be playing each other. Liberty Hill ranked in the state of Texas. Vernon, we've seen them. I don't know. I guess Heyman is gotten healthier. With him being healthy, man, they got to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. We saw Vernon, and they put up a good fight where they scored 22 points against us, which at the time was rare. It's still rare. Most teams don't really score that much against the Steer defense. So they were impressive. Ultimately, our offense outscored them pretty handedly, but nonetheless, pretty decent team over in Vernon. It's good to have another team from your district, playing well. It kind of gives you some credibility as a team that went on and beat Vernon pretty good, and it kind of gives you a little credibility around the state.
And Region 2, Gainesville, with a double overtime upset of Salina last night, will be taking on Bonham. Atlanta will be taking on Gladewater. Don't know a whole lot about them. Argyle will be taking on Melissa. Melissa was the winner in District 12. Argyle was the district champ in District 10. We expect Argyle to win that one. In a game in the bottom part of that Region 2 bracket, you got Pittsburgh and Gilmer. Now, Pittsburgh, we saw a few years ago, they are one of those teams that they're a typical East Texas team, very fast, run the ball, can't throw the ball. They're like a Hershey on steroids.
Sure. And I think that'll be an excellent game.
Yeah, playing Gilmer.
I think the second round is going to have a lot of good games, and so that should be an exciting one. I'll be looking forward to seeing the score from that one.
Region 2 probably has the best games in the next week coming up. Looking at Region 4, Orange Grove will be taking on Port Isabel. Port Isabel probably win that one. They are a machine in Region 4. You got Worthen versus Laverna. I don't know anything about either one of those teams. Sinton versus Zapata. Don't know anything about them. The Cuero Gobblers will be taking on Navarro in the area championship. In Region 3, Cold Spring will be taking on Lamar. Cold Spring is a team that I've been looking on the web, reading about, that's expected to be the region champion in region number 3 and move on to the state championship.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that all turns out. You know, I mean, I guess region 3 and 4 play each other in that semifinal game. So, yeah, they had a close one last night. So we'll see how that turns out.
Hardin Jefferson will be playing Sweeney in another game. And then you got Conley playing Waco Conley playing Fairfield. Fairfield, another one of those teams that's highly ranked in the state at number 6. So we got some good games coming up next week. So we'll be talking more about them. All right, we're going to take another break. Come back. We got college football to talk about and some pro stuff. Stick around as we keep it rolling here on Offsides.
Bring the excitement of the game right into your home with Razor Sharp Photography. Brian Ray at Razor Sharp Photography covers all of Grand sports, including high school and junior high football, volleyball, tennis, basketball, baseball, Little League, and every other special event. Log on bray.smugmug.com for all that Razor Sharp Photography has to offer. That's bray.smugmug.com. Remember, if it's not Razor Sharp, it's not Grand Sports. Razor Sharp Photography.
Maximize your greatest investment with the best insulation and roofing products available. Texoma Foam Insulation Services offers these benefits of ThermoSeal insulation. Reduce your energy bills. Enjoy cleaner and healthier indoor air. Improve your home's value and enjoy consistent temperatures. To discover more from ThermoSeal Insulation of the Future, call Texoma Foam Insulation Services today at 940-549-3626 or visit their website at texomafoam.com.
It's times like, well, now that we need to hold on to our vehicles as long as we can. And the Oil Pit has been helping you keep your car or truck for years. Literally. The Hughes family has been working hard to keep your family on the road and safe with oil changes, transmission fluids, and fluid level and tire pressure checks. And that family tradition Tom Hughes started years ago. Stop by the Oil Pit on 4th in Graham or call 940-549-5136.
It's Offsides with Joe, Travis, and Rick on Q94.7.
All right, welcome back to Offsides. One thing we forgot to mention, and don't want to forget this, Newcastle Bobcats last night just put the beat down on Rising Star, and we'll be moving on to the playoffs. So it's pretty cool that, we see Throckmorton got knocked out. We see Jacksboro got knocked out, but you still got Newcastle. Newcastle is one of those teams, we could see them going to the state championship.
Absolutely. I think this is their year to do it. They've got a great team and a lot of playmakers on that squad, and they're a lot of fun to watch.
So let's get behind the Bobcats and the Steers, and let's get that one going. Oh, another thing, I forgot to bring this up, and then we'll get to the college football talk. Last night I had a lady ask me if I would ask the local radio stations to get behind the Graham Steers and make a big deal and get some school spirit rolling. So since we are the local radio stations, I guess we'll do that.
Yeah, have we not? Have we not been doing that?
I guess we haven't been. I don't know. I
think this is our 11th show that we've done.
11 weeks of really making a big deal about the Steers.
Spending about a half an hour every Saturday morning talking about the previous night's game, even on an off week.
Right, and during the week we've got all kinds of stuff, previewing, talking about it, sports every morning. We've been promoting things going on at Graham High School. So I'm hoping that maybe we've gotten
I feel
little
like we're
bit.
doing an okay job. But if anybody has any suggestions, we'll be happy to hear them.
But I will make sure that I get to the other local radio stations around here and let them know. And let them know that we are we want to see some spirit, out of them. So let me walk across the hall and tell the guys at KSWA we need to get some spirit going over there. So we'll see what we can come up with. But I just thought that was a little humorous. As I was looking at that, going, do you know what I do for a living? But yeah, we're gonna.
Obviously, they wouldn't have asked you.
I know,
unless they kind of knew that you
had something to do with
the radio, and then must not really be looking at the or listening in. So we need folks around town to listen in more so that they can hear all the spirit we're giving out to the Graham Steers.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to challenge people. This is what I'm going to challenge people to do right now. Somewhere in your yard, maybe downtown if you got a business or something like that, I want you to get some red and some blue, tie around some trees, put some signs up that say, I support the Graham Steers. And put them up in your yard, your window, your tree, something. Let's get a lot of school spirit going here because, guys, these kind of years don't come around very often, and it's let's get behind these boys.
99-year history of Graham Steers, never been 11-0?
First time ever in 99 years been 11-0.
That's something to say right there. I got a little tangent we're going to go on real quick.
We're just going
to go on a little side street here. I forgot to do a plug last night, and I got to mention it. Holiday season coming up. Food pantries' shelves are getting a little low out there. Folks over at Bryan Insurance are having a canned food drive. So when you're out shopping, United, Walmart, maybe head to the Metroplex or Wichita Falls, go to Sam's, pick up a bunch of canned foods, bring it up to us. You can either bring it to the second floor First National Bank building during office hours. There's actually a nice red box down on the elevator lobby as well. You can drop your cans off there, and we're trying to do 5,000 cans. Now, you can also bring monetary donations as well. Don't have time to go to the store. You want to stop by, help us out, drop off a check, drop off some cash, and we're going to try to fill those food pantry shelves for the holiday season. So back on the main road, guys.
That's right. Let's get her done. Now, college football, one thing Travis and I were talking about a little bit last night on the way back from the Mineral Wells game, we were talking about that there's been a poll done saying that most fans in the state of Texas say that they're Texas A&M fans, and we were thinking maybe because of Texas A&M, maybe because of Baylor, the University of Texas this year is kind of flown under the radar and quietly are undefeated in the conference play.
Sure. And that's like we were saying last night, that's pretty rare for the Longhorns to ever go under the radar. And, I think that poll, obviously you have a huge Texas A&M fan base in the first place. Just like any big school, Texas already has a huge built-in fan base. But whichever team is having success, then you're going to have your fair weather fans drift over to that school. And so I think this is one that could just kind of goes with success. And, even though the Aggies have lost 2 games, they have the Heisman Trophy winner. They have, that exciting offense. They don't have much defense to back it up, but they have that exciting offense to get behind. And I think it makes it easy for the fair weather folks out there who aren't really committed to one school to all of a sudden become A&M fans.
Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that the Big 12 South would have come down between Baylor and Texas?
Yeah, I know it. It's really strange. You definitely would have expected Oklahoma or Oklahoma State to be in that discussion, but you're right. It's coming down to Baylor and Texas. Give me Baylor in that game, but Texas has done an excellent job of winning ball games, winning close ball games, and then kind of beating the dog out of Oklahoma. So that some impressive wins for them. I don't think they're the strongest team in the Big 12. But I do think they've done an excellent job of winning games and getting themselves to where they are.
Okay, opinion time. This is opinion only. This doesn't reflect the opinions of our bosses or radio or newspaper or anybody else. This is just opinion time. Last week, Art Briles got signed to a huge contract to stay at Baylor. Does it mean anything if Texas comes a-knocking?
Maybe. Texas can offer a little more money. Baylor gave Briles a really good contract, and he's, they're giving him everything he wants. They're giving him the new stadium. They're giving him all the recruiting tools that he needs, and he's giving them, in return, giving them wins, giving them a winning team. And so I think the more I look at it, I think Briles might be happy in Waco. I think he might be comfortable with that situation. The new contract, of course, to keep him on, but college football and college coaches, you just never know. You can never tell where they're going to go, what they're going to do, and so we'll just have to wait and see. I think the new contract and everything that Baylor's doing, I think it's a smart move to try and keep him on. I just don't know if it's going to work.
Well, University of Texas, and we've talked about the scenario before, will not normally, typically, I guess you'd say, do not go after the coach where people go, who the world's that guy?
Sure.
They're going to go after the big splash guy.
Sure, and it's been a long time since we've seen Texas go after a coach.
Right.
So you don't really know. It's not like we know that the Yankees are going to go after the top free agent. Just based on every single year, they're trying to go after the most expensive guy they can find. It's not like that. Texas hasn't had a new coach since when did Mac Brown get there? 96?
Oh gosh,
97?
It's been a while.
So it's been a good while. And so we'll see what they decide to go with. I know that they do have the money to go out and get a top guy. That's no problem. I mean, they've got more money than anybody else in college football. And so we'll see what they decide to do. But there are a lot of options out there. There are a lot of good coaches, a lot of people that they're looking at, and I know the speculations have been running rampant. So do they go with an unknown guy? Probably not. They'll probably go with the big name guy, but yet to be seen kind of deal.
I still think Nick Saban is at the top of their Christmas wish list, and I don't know if they could pry him out of Alabama, but I still think Nick Saban's probably their number one guy. And something I read the other day about this coaching scenario, that is there an NFL coach that the Texas Longhorns could pluck out of the NFL, and who would it be? Well, one guy's name came up was Chip Kelly out of coaching at Philadelphia, that he's really not happy with the personnel and the scenario in Philadelphia. Do you think it's a possibility that the Longhorns could go after a guy like Chip Kelly or maybe pry away Nick Saban?
That's an interesting point. You saw Nick Saban go to the NFL, to the Miami Dolphins, and just didn't work for him. Went back to the college ranks. I could see Chip Kelly doing something like that, bring his style of play, bring that Oregon style of play down here. The only thing I would guess, and this is just coming from me, you had a lot of allegations going on up in Oregon, paying players, just bad stuff going on up there. Chip Kelly got out of town pretty quick, went to Philadelphia. If I'm Texas, I don't know if I bring in that and bring it in with kind of those rumors out there and just kind of
it doesn't happen anyway.
Like it doesn't happen. I understand that, but you look at a guy like Nick Saban. Let's just say he wins the title again this year. Is that a 3-time?
That'd be 3 in a row. That'd be 3 in a row. What else is there to do?
Kind of what else is left to do, And Nick Saban's a challenge guy. He likes the challenge of turning a program around, and what better program to turn around than Texas. Like Travis said, they've got more money than they know what to do with. They could money whip him to death. He could come down here. You've got a big name. I think you're right. I think they are the Nick Saban's the Christmas wish list for Texas. Not sure really who else is out there, either from the NFL or college ranks, that would make such a big splash. And I think that's what Texas is looking to do.
I think the only other guy that could make a big splash, but I don't know if Texas wants to mention, is Steve Spurrier. I mean, going after a guy like him, bringing him in, I don't know if that would be. And another name that popped up the other day, but I don't know if so much is as popular now as it was a few weeks ago. Cliff Kingsbury, trying to go get him and bring him in. I don't know if Texas has got the influence and the money to go pry those guys out of those jobs.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Kingsbury's kind of got the job he's always wanted. I think he's always kind of, ever since, being a star at Texas Tech, has kind of wanted to get back to Lubbock and be that head coach and be that guy for that program, be that, that symbol that represents a good Texas Tech program. And I don't know that he's done enough in, only one season as a head coach to prove that he can, turn a team like Texas around. And that's where it's so important for Texas to get the right guy that people can really get behind and say, this guy will unquestionably turn our program around. And I don't know that he's a good fit there. The people in Lubbock, are going to give him a fair shot and let him, because he's a hero there. And so they're going to give him a fair shot and let him, make any mistakes or, give him time to build a program because they love him there. And I just don't know that it would be the same way at Texas.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch this. All right, college games of the week. today, the games that are coming up. It's getting down to the point where now one loss will mess up your season like have nobody's business.
Yeah, that's the downside of being at the top of the charts this time of year. You know, if it's early in the season and you're ranked high and you have a loss, you've got a lot of weeks and a lot of other teams are going to lose to where you can climb back up there. But yeah, coming down towards the end, if you have a loss, if you have a stumble, you're going to drop out, and that's not going to be good for you. So just kind of running through some of the games, you know, quick results from Thursday. You had number 8 Clemson beating Georgia Tech. Last night, didn't realize this was on, number 13 UCLA beating Washington 41-31. A couple of the games today, we got some early games. Of course, these are all Eastern time, so knock an hour off for us Central time folks. But you got number 3 Ohio State at Illinois. That'll be on ESPN. You've got number...
Before we get to that, I want to predict right now Ohio State will be in the championship game against Alabama. You watch it. You watch it.
Okay, that's Rick's prediction. That's his lock of the week.
That's a lead pipe lock right there, let me tell you.
Lead pipe lock of the week. Number 17, University of Central Florida, is playing at Temple, playing that on ESPN3. Iowa State, boy, I tell you, I really expected bigger things from Iowa State this year. They've had that close game against Texas. They're playing at number 18, Oklahoma. That's going to be on Fox Sports 1. I know Ann's going to be watching that. Actually, she doesn't have Fox Sports 1, so I'll probably have to tweet her again like I did the
Oklahoma will
Baylor.
destroy them.
I know they will, but still. And you're just saying that because she's your mother-in-law.
No, I'm saying that because that's reality.
It is true. They will beat them today. Indiana at number 22, Wisconsin. That's an ESPN2 game. Kickoff at 12. Going down the list here, looking at some of your other top scores, top teams. One at 3:30 this afternoon. You've got Syracuse at number 2 Florida State. That's going to be on ESPN2.
You know that
Actually, that's going to be on ABC.
Jump in here for just a second, but does all the sexual assault charges against the freshman quarterback, does that get him off his game going into this game today?
I don't think so. I mean, those charges were brought up over a year ago, and I was just reading a real quick story on it. Those charges were brought up a year ago. Local prosecutor or local PD hasn't filed any charges against him. It just got to the prosecutor now, so if it hasn't bothered him all year, I'm not sure because it's in the news it's going to bother him now.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how that goes. And kind of a local game, Travis is really interested. Unfortunately, unless he plans on jumping in the car, he won't be able to see this one. But Angelo State at Incarnate Word? What is that?
Incarnate Word.
Incarnate Word.
Yeah.
The Angelo State Rams. Just kind of surprised to see them on the ESPN college game list, so I had to point them out. Go Rams.
The Angelo State Rams.
Matchup of your top 25.
Blue and gold.
Blue and gold. Matchup of your top 25 teams today. You've got number 25 Georgia going into Auburn. That's going to be at CBS. You know they like those
boring
SEC games. Number 12 Oklahoma State at number 24 Texas. 3:30 or 2:30 kick for that. That's going to be on Fox. Scrolling down the list here, number 23 Miami at Duke. That'd be great if it was a basketball game, but Miami should easily take care of Duke. You've got Utah going into number 6 Oregon later on this afternoon. Local game of interest, you've got TCU at K-State. That K-State Lubbock game, K-State Texas Tech game last week. Kind of thought Texas Tech was going to be able to handle them.
Oh man,
proved not to be so much.
You know that if TCU loses this game today, it'll be only the second time under Gary Patterson they've had a losing season, guaranteed losing season.
You really hope TCU is going to play up for that game. Not sure what K-State's going to bring, but that ought to be actually a really, really good game.
K-State is like the Oakland A's of the Big 12. They get in there, they win all the time, but then they never win anything.
Yeah, well, that is a problem. Speaking of Texas Tech, they're going into Floyd Casey today, number 5 Baylor. That's your 6 o'clock game on Fox. So I'm assuming there's no NASCAR tonight. Maybe that's on somewhere else.
It's tomorrow, sure.
Homestead tomorrow for the final. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson.
He's got it.
Let's see Jimmy Johnson take that one. So you got Texas Tech. Get your guns up against number 5 Baylor tonight. The guns may be up. I'm not sure if they'll be pointed anywhere and be able to do anything against number 5 Baylor, but we'll have to see.
They'll be in the holster tonight.
Yeah, I feel like Baylor's going to have so many more guns up.
Yes,
than Texas Tech in that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a very guns up game.
Okay, enough guns. So we talked about Steve Spurrier earlier. We've got number Florida down in South Carolina.
Number Florida. Who's number Florida?
Okay. All right. And that's fine. And we can do that if we want to go that route. Do we want to go that route?
Hey, it happens to me every time I open this
microphone.
Hey, every time I open the microphone, I get somebody making fun of me. No matter what.
I'll tell you, just to kind of go back a little bit, talking about the Steelers, we talked about them all year long. One of the players that I really think has come up this year.
Yeah, it's Bonner Cottongame.
No, Connor Bottengame.
Yeah, it's his twin brother.
Was that Connor Bottengame that played?
It was his twin brother.
Oh, okay. So we're going to do that?
You didn't know that?
I think we're done.
They have different last names there?
Yes, and they're twins.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Brother of another mother.
Okay, we've got Florida going down to South Carolina, number 10, going to see the old ball coach, and not really sure what Florida's got anymore this year. Again, one of those teams that you thought was going to do more, but really hasn't this year. You've got the late game, not really a late game, but kind of maybe the marquee game. It's going to be on ESPN tonight. Number 1, Alabama going to Mississippi State. That's going to be a 6:45 kick.
A beatdown.
That's going to be a beatdown. I don't know. I think maybe Mississippi State is going to bring something. Certainly don't think they're going to upset them. But this, what's weird about this time of year, and we've got number 4 Stanford going into USC. You know how I feel about USC. What's weird about this time of year, too, is it seems like you always see upsets late in the year. Last 4 games of the year, maybe sometimes the last 2 games of the year, you've got one of those, top 10 teams that's a lock. They're going to win. It's not a problem. They're going to destroy them. And something fluky happens.
It ain't going to happen to Alabama.
It ain't going to happen to Alabama, but you never know. It could happen at some point. So that's your college wrap-up for the day. In my radio voice, I think we're going to talk some NFL next.
All right, we're going to hear from our sponsors. Come back. We got NFL news to talk about, the kiss of death given to the Cowboy coaching staff. Stay tuned.
If creating the perfect outdoor retreat is in your future, then Cornerstone Pools is where you will find design ideas that become reality for your custom gunite pool and spa and outdoor kitchen and living areas, helping you create family fun and memories that last a lifetime. Honesty, integrity, dependability, the cornerstone of everything they do. Call 940-549-9944. Jake Womack Construction Cornerstone Pools, helping you build your dreams.
It's factory authorized clearance month at D&J's Polaris. Now's your chance to save up to $1,000 and receive 2.99% financing through September 30th. Save on Polaris Ranger, the absolute best side-by-side utility vehicles in the industry, or the Polaris Sportsman ATV. It's all waiting for you at D&J's Polaris, Southview at Elm and Graham. Now with up to $1,000 savings and financing as low as 2.99. ATVs and side-by-side vehicles can be hazardous to operate. Polaris adult models for ages 16 and over. Always wear a helmet and be sure to take a training course. Polaris ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are not intended for on-road use. Financing with approved credit.
Now, back to Offside with Travis, Rick, and Joe on Q94.7.
All right, back to Offside. I'm going to talk a little pro ball.
Yeah.
And Cowboys are in good shape this week. Get the the great opponent the bye week, and this last
find a way to lose that one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, they really might find a way to lose.
What'll happen?
Yeah, I mean,
Romo will throw interception in the bottom of the fourth quarter, and we'll end up losing this one.
The defense will give up 600 yards like they do every week.
But this last week,
it is Romo's fault that the defense gives up 600 yards.
100% Romo's fault.
Rick again fishing on the pier.
It's 100.
That's right. Waiting to catch him, a big Travis, a big 200-pound.
Yeah, we're throwing the line out there. But I tell you what, this last week, you hear Jerry Jones get up. He loves to hear himself talk. He loves to get up and say some of the stupidest things in the history of the planet. And he was up there this last week. He goes up there and he starts telling, well, we're still in first place. We're 5-5. We're blah, 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 blah. But we got one of the best coaching staffs around. I don't want to make any changes. I would be in Monty Kiffin's office so fast after this last game going, here's the deal, Jack. You either get off the walker and start playing ball, or we're going to find somebody else. But Jerry Jones, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to sit there and go, I don't want to make any changes. Why not? You want to get your butt kicked every week, I guess. Well,
Jerry has a way of saying something publicly and then doing completely the opposite. And I think no better example than the draft right before he says, well, we don't really need an offensive line that bad because Romo's a scrambler, and he can avoid pressure and things like that. And then they go above and beyond out of their way to draft an offensive lineman. So what Jerry says isn't always exactly what he's thinking. We've seen him say that, no, we're not going to make any changes, and then, all of a sudden changes come. So it's hard to read Jerry's public statements. Well, it's hard to understand them in the first place.
What he's saying,
because his crazy analogies that he uses, but it's hard to determine what he really means and then what he's just saying to put on a public appearance.
The thing that really, really bothered me, and I almost wrecked my truck when I heard it this last week. I was listening on a radio station out of Dallas, and Jerry Jones alluded to the fact that there is a slight possibility that Jason Garrett takes back over the play calling. That's not the problem, boys and girls. The defense can't beat its way out of a paper sack, and they've got to do something to shore up that defense.
I thought Romo was the problem.
Romo is a problem. He's not the problem.
I think play calling is a problem. I have not liked the play calling. I mean, it's just where did it go? Where did trying to really move the ball downfield? Where did that go? We just quit doing that in the last game, and so I really do think that I don't think play calling is the problem, like you're saying. I think defense is the problem.
Defense is the problem,
but at the same time, I feel like the team could be better with some more aggressive play calling, and I think this is. I think it might be time for Garrett to step in and set Callahan aside and take over play calling duties.
But what is Edo saying about the epitome of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Jason Garrett, I'm not saying he's a bad football coach by any stretch of imagination, but the guy has proved that he is a mediocre coach. He is not he's not that second tier, high level kind of coach guy. He is one of these guys that's a pretty good coach. He has proven year after year after year that he's not bad, but he's not great. I don't know if I want him back there taking the plays over again.
Well, I mean, I don't think play call. I think play calling was one of his more strong suits as a coach. Personally, I mean, the reason he got out of play calling essentially was because he was having so many problems with time management, and we've seen that already this year in the game against the Lions. There was poor time management that I think, obviously, it was bad defense that ultimately killed the Cowboys, but it was poor time management that hurt him as well toward the end of the game. And I think that was kind of the reason that he was giving up his play calling duties and becoming what they call a walk around coach, so that he could pay more attention to exactly what's going on both sides of the field and try to make the call as it pertains to the game. But I never thought he was a real bad play caller. I thought sometimes he wasn't aggressive enough, but lately this offense, the way the plays are being called, it's the most unaggressive style of offense I've ever seen, and you've got to try to get the ball down the field more. I mean, we don't even look at Des Bryant if he's in double coverage, and then you look at the other receivers that are really good, and those quarterbacks, they don't mind throwing in double coverage. They have routes to beat double coverage, and but we don't even look Dez's way if we see two guys lined up over the top of him.
Shifting gears a little bit, one of the things that I heard all week long, all these press conferences, is that, well, you got to look at the fact that the Cowboys' defense is hurt. There's a lot of guys hurt. Sean Lee's latest big gun hurt. What is up with all the injuries? Not just with the Cowboys. I'm talking about league-wide. I got this thing on my cell phone. It's called The Score, and what it does is every time an injury takes place, every time a score takes place, something like that, you'll get a tweet on it. Well, on Sunday, it's one after another. So-and-so left the game with a hamstring. So-and-so left the game with a knee injury. So-and-so left the game with a concussion. I mean, it's just down the line. Yeah. What is up with all the injuries?
That's a lot of people say, well, is that just because the media is so strong now in the NFL that, we're hearing about all this stuff? But, I actually looked at a study, and I wish I could tell you where to find it, but I've forgotten. But I saw a study that said that, last year was, there were more injuries in the NFL by far than ever in the history. And this year blows that last year out of the water. And so you're right. Injuries are mounting up for every single team in the NFL. It's just been one of those things, and you ask the question, why? And really, I think it has a lot to do with HGH in the NFL. I think these guys their muscles are outgrowing the structure of their bodies, and then I think it's having a detriment to their ligaments, to the rest, to their bone structure and everything else. I think they are just too strong for their bodies. I don't think the NFL does a good job at all of monitoring HGH and performance enhancing drugs, because after all, they make their money on the big strong dudes making the big hits. But go back and watch a game from the 90s. And look at the difference in body type compared to what we see now. It's totally different. And it's just it's not like evolution has caused these guys in a, 10, 15-year span to just become totally different animals out there. There's something else going on, and I really do think it's performance-enhancing drugs.
Well, it's funny. In high school and college football, you do not see the rash of injuries you see in the NFL.
No.
I mean, not even close. And it just, look at the Green Bay Packers situation. I mean, I know that Aaron Rodgers broke a collarbone. You really not you can do about that.
Yeah.
But every week they have a quarterback going down. Seneca Wallace on the first throw of the game?
Yeah.
Hurt himself last week. Jay Cutler. I mean, you just go down the line. Peyton Manning gets hurt last week. I mean, it's just been one after another.
It just comes down to guys being unnaturally strong, unnaturally, big and strong and powerful. And it's a bad deal. But as long as the NFL is making that money and